Make sure you avoid the armadillos because they carry leprosy. I was just trying to think of an intro. Why was that it? It's true though. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope that you're having a wonderful one out there. A fantastic day, morning, evening, wherever you're watching from. You might be on the train heading to work, in class, when you should be listening to the teacher lecturing, but you're watching this for some reason, or maybe just reclining on your chair in the most comfortable position you can be when you got some snacks next to you. Thank you for being here. Today we are diving into a first reaction, obviously, but an album listen for Leprous. We're going to listen to Leprous' sixth studio album, Pitfalls, released in 2019. We are listening to this because it was suggested and sponsored by Dustin. So Dustin, thank you so much for the recommendation. Also, 100% for the support. And this was also recommended, this album, from Guy Eternal, Jaybird, Richard Thresh, and Crypto Z, or Cryptaz, depending on how you pronounce that. So thank you guys as well for the suggestion. With Leprous, we've listened to 2 songs here on the channel, and then I've only listened to 1 album in full from them, The Congregation, which is a great album. I listened to the first half of that album quite a bit. Sometimes I just don't make it to the second half, time reasons. But I love listening to that album. It's incredibly done, very, very well done. And a nice mix of metal and atmosphere and kind of everything in between. So I'm excited to dive into this particular album, of which, looking at the track listing, nothing in here sounds familiar. So I've heard like 1 or 2 other songs from the band outside of The Congregation. So I just wanted to scan really quick to see if anything here looks familiar, but it does not. So hope that you guys are having, like I said, a lovely one out there. I'm just pulling up the album really quick so we can go ahead and dive into this. And as always, with any sort of album listen, grab something to drink. So maybe it's just a little cup of water. That's okay. Keep hydrated. Maybe it's some juice, some naranja. Jugo de naranja. Maybe some orange juice. Whatever you're drinking, get something. Grab a snack, some popcorn. But I hate popcorn, so I don't want anything to do with it. But you guys can enjoy your popcorn. I hate popcorn. Ugh. The only type of popcorn I like is white cheddar popcorn, and even that is a rare treat. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive on into the album. I hope that you guys enjoy it. Of course, you can support what I do with Patreon, the Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can even request album listens like this, such as how this was done from Dustin. Patreon, exclusive content, $2 a month. Press the like button, though, before we move forward. All right, now that I've plugged you, let's go ahead and move on with the first track on the album, and that will be Below. Here we go. This is to you.
All of my stories are below. Beneath the surface, it cannot grow.
That's a cool sound.
Grow. Curled and naked, I defer. To shaky thoughts all in a blur. Every single fear I'm hiding, every little childhood memory I bury. Every single fear I'm hiding, every little childhood memory. And I will lie. Keep it all together.
The strings sing sinister. like how the strings are somewhat of a darker echo to his voice. coming after, right? That was fantastic. It's a great opening.
Sitting on top of the facade.
Snapping into it.
Built this tower to surpass.
What an interesting change in style.
I can't remember why I'm here. Only why I need to disappear. Oh, every single fear I'm hiding, every little childhood memory I bury. Every single fear I'm hiding, every little childhood memory.
Like all the strings and the little guitar begin to like foretell the heaviness.
I will run, keep it all together,
That slip into the falsetto is very, very impressive.
will it last forever? Keep it all together,
That's almost goosebumps. That's almost there. A lot of ghost notes on the drums too. A lot of ghost notes in there. Guitars and drums filling in the space. Shut up.
keep it all together,
Listen to how the drummers brought that funky groove in here.
will it last forever? And keep it all
So it's going to be an album like that. Okay, so I've heard Congregation. I'm familiar with the band, at least from that album, so I have certain expectations, right? So the lead singer, Einar Solberg. Just, if I can walk out onto a limb, I think one of the best voices in modern metal/music, perhaps, right? Okay, just incredible. And this track is an undoubtedly brilliant performance by him. You can sit there and say you don't like the music for whatever reason, but I mean, his vocal performance is just brilliant. That's talent, that's training, that's out there. And the beginning, which starts off, this is kind of a cool track because, all right, I'm kind of going off on tangents here. There's a few directions to go with this because they bring in the electronic influence, especially in the beginning, and it almost gives off kind of a modern, like, darker pop kind of sound. Because a lot of modern pop, and I'm not necessarily talking like, you know, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, well, to an extent Billie Eilish, but like, I'm talking about like a different kind of modern pop, perhaps indie pop or whatever. They use those kind of sounds a lot. So it's very cool to hear Einar singing alongside that kind of very modern production with the way the electronics were building up down there. Very, very cool. And of course, then it just opens up into this brilliant flash of light when the guitars come in. He reaches that first initial climax, and it's just absolutely incredible. The guitars being played by Tor Orman Shirk and Robin Olgendahl here, and just like massive, brilliant. The strings involved from Raphael Wineworth Brown and Chris Baum. It's incredible. It's a sensational moment, and we get that a few more times in the music. That is the chorus with which we return to, and it has just an ungranted amount of power. It's incredible. This is an incredible track with an amazing performance. And what I love is that even after that first chorus hits and you're like, wow, we're way up here, when they bring it back down, they don't bring it back down to the first part. They kind of start over with a new part, with the drumming becoming very, very like almost funky and straightforward. Drumming is going to be performed by Bard Kolstad, who's also an incredible musician. And do not quote me because I may be misremembering, but if I remember correctly, I think that Bard originally was a busker who was like a street performer playing on the streets. And I'm pretty sure someone in the band came across him either in the streets playing or somewhere and brought him onto the band, if I remember correctly. Sometimes I read interviews and stuff. And he's an incredible drummer. We get some nice diversity with the way he plays here. And I like how from that part forward, when he comes in, we got the chorus, which he plays heavy and open. Then that verse, the second verse, which he kind of plays a snappy kind of minimalistic funk groove. And then as we move forward in the song from there, going back to the chorus, he begins to fill it in just a little bit more. Same with the guitars as well. And then we get to the final climax there. They all are beginning to fill in those spaces that they left open purposely in the first chorus or in the first verse. And I think that that's really, really well done. In the third verse, if I'm remembering correctly, in the third verse, we even bring back some of those electronic elements that were established in the very beginning of the song. And we get that coming back. So everything in this track comes full circle and is just absolutely brilliantly filled. That's really, really fantastic. All of my stories are below. Beneath the surface cannot grow. Curled and naked I defer to shaky thoughts all in a blur. Every single fear I'm hiding, every little childhood memory I bury. And he repeats those again. I will lie, keep it together. Lie, sitting on top of the facade, built a tower to surpass. I can't remember why I'm here, only why I need to disappear. So, as he says from the very first line, all my stories are below. And below could be so many things, you know? In this one, it seems to be more internalizing things. So he's keeping all of these things to himself. He's very much an internalizer, more introspective. And, you know, he's even built a facade, a fake tower, so to speak, perhaps a fake personality or a persona, you know, to just kind of get by and by. But in the inside, that's where he keeps and buries everything. And even says lie, kind of to keep it all together. Will it last forever? They keep it all together. Lie. Could be a double entendre, lie, like he's saying, you know, to those things, keep it down, lie down, don't bubble up. Or it could also be, of course, this facade, this persona that he's put on, you know, trying to lie to people, you know, face value. He's giving them the old Phil Collins, and then in the inside, that's where he really, really dwells. Fantastic opening track. Let's move on to the next one here, which is I Lose Hope. Light, funky, keep it light. See, that's really cool.
At the
snare.
dawn where I began, with a goal and a simple plan, started walking towards this day, seeking refuge for my soul in this empire I control. Full of confidence, I've made my way on my path, the desire die, getting bent and set aside by the bitter fire to survive. Looking back on my every sin, thinking of what could have been, I carry onward, feeling alive. Made it to where I am today. This is where I wanna stay. Still I feel like I've been away.
Oh, with the bass. This is so cool. Hitting the normal notes and then the falsetto. It's really nice.
In my mind, what I find as I search every code, I lose hope. On my own, I atone for the plan I once wrote. I lose hope.
That came in quite sudden. See those electronic little peekies?
Reminding the state I'm in, losing hope when I'm bound to win, taking cover to hide from shame, getting lost with my disguise, unable to open my eyes, surrendering.
An excellent groove throughout this whole runtime.
In my mind, what I
Back to it.
find as I search every code, I lose hope. On my own, I atone for the plan I once wrote. I lose hope. In my mind, what
Run the
I
hi-hat
find
like they're
as
doing.
I search every code, I lose hope. On my own, I atone for the plan I once wrote. I lose hope. At my peak, I turn weak. I end up losing hope.
There's a certain degree already in these first two tracks, but there's a certain degree of like funkiness in the way that the drums and the rhythm of everything is captured and performed. Like Bard, his drumming in a lot of places seems very simplistic, but he is building subtlety and a quiet kind of power beneath everything. In the hi-hats, especially the way that he plays in this particular track, the ghost notes still present here. Even in the very brief few seconds where the music gets a little bit more heavy and kind of dready. I don't know what dready is not a word, but when it becomes a little bit more filled with dread for a brief moment, it's still like it brings that heaviness, but then it gracefully moves off of that back into these shades of subtlety that he plays with, which is really fantastic. We also get some standout bass lines here from Simon Daniel Lindstad Borvin, who in a track like this where it's focused a lot on the rhythm of it all, that's when the bass can really stand out alongside of drums, and I think that he does a fantastic job of standing out there, especially in the pre-chorus. Some of the playful notes that he's playing with there are really fun and kind of bouncing back and forth around. Einar, once again, brilliant performance. I mean, we're going to like his vocals throughout this whole album, I imagine, so That's going to be a given. But I really like in the chorus how he goes from he's kind of always singing in his higher range at this particular point. But it, da 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 da. That is a very catchy and it's a very catchy and much used pattern when it comes to choruses. Just ba 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 ba. Like hit these two notes and then go a note higher. Hit these two notes, go a note higher. But the way it's used here alongside that group, I think works really, really well. And like I said, it's a very catchy melody in the first place. And whatever words he puts in there, it's going to sound good when it's coming out of his mouth. That is for sure. But this is a fun, very interesting album. Once again, the electronic influences begin to show through, especially more here on this one. You hear some of the kind of almost not Linkin Park. That's not where I want to go. But like those kind of electronic accoutrements being thrown onto this proverbial plate, so to speak. Let's look at these lyrics. At my peak, I turn weak. I end up losing hope in my grief. A relief, I end up losing hope. So at his strongest, he finds himself weak. Perhaps that's also a reference to the album cover in some capacity. I don't know exactly when, but he's at his peak, but he's also feeling weak. At the dawn, where I began, with a goal and a simple plan. Started walking towards this day, seeking refuge for my soul. In this empire I control, full of confidence I've made my way. On my path a desire died, getting bent and sent aside by the bitter fight to survive. Looking back on my every sin, thinking of what could have been. I carry onward, feeling alive, made it to where I am today. This is where I want to stay. Still, I feel like I fade away. So even though he's fought to get to this position and this place in his life, in his soul, and in whatever journey he's taking place on, even at his highest and even at this peak, he's still feeling like there's something missing or he's losing himself. Feeling like it all falls down at a sink. In my mind, what I find as I search every code, I lose hope on my own. I atone for the plan I once wrote. I lose hope in my mind. I search every code, lose hope. I atone. So he's made all these plans. He's searching for this particular code in his mind. He's trying to do everything he can, but it's still not working. Undermining the state I'm in, losing hope when I'm bound to win. Taking cover to hide from shame, getting lost with my disguise. Unable to open my eyes. Surrender a winning game, fly away, turn around, stay. So this is kind of like maybe not panic is the right word, but panic setting in his mind, like, what's wrong? What should I do? Should I surrender a winning game, turn around, or should I stay? And he just repeats in the outro, at my peak, I turn weak. I end up losing hope, just as said in the title of the song. So imagine that the title of the song comes true. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be Observe the Train. As long as it's on time.
Quieting the inner voice, do not reject, but keep on breathing. Observe the train, see it leaving.
Piano almost has a toy-like melody to it.
Breathe in, breathe out, release, let it all out. Breathe in, breathe out, release, let it all out. Breathe in, breathe out, release. Simplicity of being here,
A lot of roomy space in this one.
without attachment. The senses are freewheeling. Allow the body to receive it. Acceptance is the dream. Never let it get to you. Just start again and keep on breathing. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in. Go where it's leading. Breathe in, breathe out,
I love the way the drum
breathe out, release, let it all out. Breathe in, breathe out, release.
I didn't know what was happening. I like how the bass takes the heaviness in this track, not guitar. Very gentle guitar picking as well. This is definitely at this point in the album listen, right? We got our opening that was big and epic, the second track, which moved things into a, kind of slightly coming down pace. And now we're at the bottom. We're at the very soft, melodic track here on the album so far. And that's how you create a journey of an album listen, right? So I'm expecting the next track to be heavy. That's my guess, just based on where we are now at this particular train stop. This one is Einar is singing with such wonderful, gentle sensitivity here. I love the chorus. And, when you have a chorus that's breathe in, breathe out, the way you sing that, because it's very instructional, is something everyone can relate to that's listening to the music. Like, it does have that inhale, exhale kind of rhythmic fluctuation, which I think that, they take a really great advantage of, especially with the harmonies that start to layer and come on in with it, I think work really well. And I love how the bass is kind of what provides the heaviness here. Instead of going to the chorus and then it being a big guitar riff, a wave of distortion. No, keep it kind of light, keep it kind of more, rhythmically and slightly electronic focused, and allow the bass with having that kind of big, perhaps a big pedals being used to kind of provide that big sustain on it. And just allow that bass to be that heaviness that comes in while still being graced by, some strings. The guitar is providing some really nice picking alongside with the music here. This is a gentle, sweet, and kind of hopeful song, kind of based on what I'm kind of reading here in the lyrics. But like I said, I expect the next track. This is the light one. We've started up here and it's come down, not in quality, just in heaviness. And I expect the next track to shoot us back up to the stars in that regard. But let's go ahead and look at the lyrics here before we do so. Quieting the inner voice, do not reject, but keep on breathing. Observe the train and see it leaving. Breathe in, breathe out. Release, let it all out. So when I read this, I kind of read this as the contradiction of the previous track of losing hope. This is finding a way to grab hold of something and grasp onto hope. So quieting the inner voice, but not rejecting it. Keep on breathing it. And then I see this as like a mentor telling the student, like, observe the train, see it leaving. See it leaving, just like your breath, you allow it, you release it. But just because the train's leaving doesn't mean that opportunity or whatever that may be, or hope, is gone. Simplicity of being here without attachment. The senses are freewheeling. Allow the body to receive it. Acceptance is treatment. Now, I don't want to come across as ignorant, but I do want to come across as ignorant so I can be corrected if needed. When I'm looking at the album cover, I could be, of course, I genuinely could be way off, but I do believe that this is going to be like a statue perhaps of Buddha or something of that nature. And so when I'm reading the lyrics, I'm really getting a sense of this album cover is really pictured here in the lyrics. Simplicity, being here without being attached, right? The senses are freewheeling of allowing the body to receive it. Acceptance is treatment. That's the medicine, is acceptance. Don't force it. The goal is not to feel electrical, angelical. Let it flow. The change won't be radical. I really read this as a mentor, a teacher, like teaching their student. The change won't be radical. It's gradual. Don't force it. Never let it get to you. Just start again and keep on breathing. Like if you lose yourself, just start again from the beginning, from that breath. Go where he is leading. If you don't mind, let me look at the Wikipedia article to see if there's anything about that before we go any further. Let's see. Let's learn a little bit as well. It says it was recorded over 6 months at Ghostword Studios. Cellist, violinist, and classical choir were recruited, of course. Let's see. Leprous recorded the album here. The process, unlike before, had no predetermined method or objective. Deriving from a baseline of electronic templates, the band added instruments to the initial halves of the songs and then the rest. 13 tracks were planned, but only 9 were completed due to time constraints. Einar devoted around 80 days in studio. He intended for each take to be different, that he could avail of his favorites among them. Much of the vocals were done at the cabin. He saw Pitfalls as Leprous' largest production and musical departure yet, noting also that every song bears its own musical identity. His lyrics were written during a 1.5-year struggle with depression and anxiety. This marked the first time Solberg was more prolific than guitarist Tor Oddman, who usually served as the main lyricist. Let's see, and there's some more writing there about that. Let's see. Wineworth Brown divided his time between Canada and Sweden, traveling for solos and more ambient parts, while Baum worked from the U.S. So they all kind of worked a little separately for this as well. Let's see. Indonesian artist Alicia illustration was purchased after bassist Simon Borvin showed her work to Solberg. So that's where the album cover came from. But I just wanted to see if there was maybe something, a story between the album music-wise and the cover, if there's any sort of correlation. But at least initially, from what I'm reading, not quite yet. But we'll do some more digging later. Let's move on to the next track, which is Be My Throne. Let me sit on you. Wait, what? Electronic element coming back in, hopping off the guitar. It's a cool slide.
In the spring and covering painful edges lingering.
Almost like a little yo-yo.
Natural pain, finding its place. Natural pain, by my throne, a stone.
Different snare than's been used before.
Rough and roll.
change the direction there. I like the uptick in the kicks there. Guitar starting that back up. Okay.
Will be bruised, it will get tough.
Now even the drum pattern is different.
Might be hidden, might get lost. Hey, hey. Never hard to find. Never left behind. Hey, hey. I can't let my sorrows die. I can't let my
Always hitting the
vision fly. Always there, still on guard.
Up on top. Ambience.
Got my back with no regard. Hey, hey, hey. Hopeless fight, out of sight. Wrong direction, wrong direction. But I'm right.
I love that kind of stuttered
Hopeless
step on the drums.
out of sight. Wrong direction, wrong direction. When I'm right, wanna be done.
There it is. I love that little change to the voice. Can't follow it, but I like it. Okay, so this one, while not being heavy like I thought they were gonna bring it back. You know, I thought this was gonna be, you know, heavy, but they do bring an uptick in the energy on this one. They do bring the tempo up, and this one like still retains a little bit of that dreamy atmosphere, but then it moves into that very snappy drumming. You know, it's very forward and very like. I like how snappy and standard it seems, but then it begins to change and morph itself, whether that's more involved kicks or more involved, you know, playfulness on the hi-hats and the different cymbals. You get a lot of that. So Bard's drumming always comes across as a huge star and a big focus, even when it's not necessarily playing like it should be the focus. But I think that if you're listening to it properly, you can always hear all of the amounts of subtleties that he's bringing. Even in the previous track, when I mentioned during the song, like all the ghost notes that he was filling in. You could have a haunted house with all the ghost notes that were being filled in. And I just think that his drumming style is very, very cool, while also maintaining a beautiful subtlety and grace as he just works across the drum set. This track, and also you have that, once again, the electronic element. So, you know, that main melody. And I can't tell you what it is, but when he's singing in the verse, it almost sounds like, you guys would have to educate me because you could probably hear it better than I can. It sounds like the time signature in the verse is a little different, because in the space where he's not singing, there's that little moment where I feel like it should go on a little bit more, but it doesn't. Like Einar comes right back in singing wise. And I feel like that's something with the time signature. Somehow they're playing with that, but I'm not educated enough to tell you what they're doing. Only that I hear something is a little amiss there. Not that it's a miss, but it just sounds like it's a miss. Now, as we're moving through the album, I will admit that I feel like this track is also perhaps, I would say, the most okay track. This one doesn't kind of make me feel anything much. I think that it sounds good, but, you know, from hitting the highs of, I would especially say like the first two tracks, and this one, it's just okay. I feel like there's not as much of interest in here, besides just like an overall good performance kind of thing. I do like the way that the drums and the music kicks up a little bit in the chorus a bit. But otherwise, I feel like this track is just okay. If this was the first track I heard by the band, I'd probably be like, wow, this is amazing. But, you know, having heard a decent amount from them, this one I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. In the spring uncovering, painful edges lingering, natural pace finding its place, natural pace. Be my throne, a stone, rough and raw on its own. Once revealed, my cave won't be taken by the wave. I would face an empty void, insecure and paranoid, hopeless fight out of sight, wrong direction when I'm right. I do like how, seemingly in a breaking the fourth wall kind of way, when he says wrong direction, that's when the music changes into the chorus, and it does change, you know, as if we were going in the wrong direction, and now we're switching course. Worn and beaten, curved by the tide, calm rock by my side. Almost like through natural erosion, this rock that he says will be his throne could be something so simple, but to him, it means a lot more. It will be bruised, it will get tough, might be hidden, might get lost. Never hard to find, never left behind. I can let my sorrows die. I can let my visions fly. Always there, still on guard, got my back with no regard. And it repeats the lyrics there. So I feel like as he mentions this rock by his side that he says will be his throne, of course, figuratively, you know, something simple can be something that means so much to you, and could also be that with which you begin and could be the foundation of something greater. Something simple can be the foundation of something greater that you can achieve. Something like that. something like that. I'm in the right direction. Let's hit the next track here, which is going to be Alleviate. Here we go.
When I am far from home, I feel blurry. Where my weight is gone, there is nothing. Whenever I go wrong, I hear the same old song. Voices from below. I fear it never goes away. All I could do in the end was wait.
I like how the electronic pulses with the snare. It's a unique effect.
All I could do in the end was wait. United with my fears, I'll alleviate.
This almost has a Peter Gabriel kind of sound. Listen to it. Sounds like Manu.
The loop goes on and on until my mind is gone, gone and circles. That barricade is strong, it's been there all along. Have you accepted the tower can't be torn before the cape is worn, losing control. It's the only way all I could do in the end was wait, laying down with
a really nice vocal
my fate. All I could do in the end was wait, united with my fears, I'll alleviate. All I could do
Big moment.
was wait, laying down with my fate. All I could do was wait. Now I will laying down with my fate.
So we're getting back to, this is like that big emotional gut punch on the album, on this particular section. This is that big emotional outcry, and man, does he hit that outcry. Einar sends it with just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful range. And I love that run in just the very first line, when he says, it's just a one-syllable word in the chorus, right? You're looking at it, he says all. But it's that little run that he does within that. I am not even going to try and do what he did, but the, all I could do. Like, he doesn't hit the falsetto right there. But I really like how he puts all of that sauce onto one chicken nugget. and then he spreads it out to the rest of the line, so to speak. It's actually the best way to describe it. He puts all the sauce on one chicken nugget, and then he gives you the 12-piece after. And I think that the way he does that is incredible. I love the little electronic that jumps in there, kind of swarming around with like the his vocal lines as well, and the little bit of guitar there. The drums are once again playing with such graceful and subtlety that, like, you know, it's a standard drum sound in a sense, but man, the way he performs is really, really well done. There's that one little moment there where the bass and the drums are going that I said, man, that sounds like it could be a Peter Gabriel like foundation for a song or something. It sounded like a little Manu the way he was playing. And even the way that he's playing the drum set, once again, the sounds are different. I don't know exactly what it is or whatever, but you know, like the little clip on the snare drum that you can like untighten the bottom or whatever, and it gives it a more rounded sound. I feel like that's what Bard did here, because you don't really, I could be mistaken, you don't really hear this the snare pop. You hear that, you know what I mean. Anyways. Now, I'm going to give you another controversial opinion. I think that this song, once again, is just okay. And here's why. I think, once again, it's a fine song. It's powerful. Cool. How do I say this? Okay. I listen to a lot of music. Not just the music we listen to here on the channel. I listen to a lot of music just on my own. And I have no scruples about any genre. I'll listen to anything, right? So, for example, I listen to not a lot, but a decent amount of pop and stuff too, right? So, in this song, it captures. Let me just be blunt. No beating around the bush. This song plays the exact same way, structure, build up that a modern emotional pop song would, that would hit the charts. And Adele, Lana Del Rey, or whatever, like one of those songs, right? And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's a certain formula when they're doing those big emotional songs that I personally do not always enjoy. This track follows that same formula. Is it better because it's performed by Leprous and we have such strong singing from Ivar, the cool drumming, and, you know, all the cool sounds? Yes, it does make it better than some of the other tracks that I've heard in this same structure. But because I don't love that overall structure and sound and the kind of predictableness of it, you know, it's kind of hitting another. It's hitting the same pitfalls, guys. It's hitting the same pitfalls. So, even though I do think that the performance of this track is excellent, it's the type of emotional, I hate to say it, but predictably structure of it that I don't love. I don't really like too much of those kind of quietly soft-spoken, soft-sung songs that just go into a build-up that's very predictable to hear how it goes, regardless of who's doing it. So I'm not going to give Leprous a pass on this just because it's Leprous, you know, as compared to someone else, even though I can admit that it's much better just by way of performance. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not into like overly emotional singing all the time. At a certain point, I'm just like, get on with it. Tell me your thoughts and your feelings and let's move on. And perhaps that's also because we've gotten that kind of already in the past, you know, in the previous track. And because I'm thinking of the congregation, I haven't heard a growl yet. We got a little bit heavy in like the first track, a little bit in the second. I'm ready to like get back to that. I like the emotional part. I like the soft approach in this. I'm ready to get back to. Give me some. All right. Let's move on to the next track, which is At the Bot. Oh, I didn't. Did I go over the lyrics? I didn't go over the lyrics. When I'm far from home, I feel blurry. Where my weight is gone, there is nothing. Whenever I go wrong, I hear the same old song. Voices from below, I fear it never goes away. All I could do in the end was wait, laying down with my faith. All I could do in the end was wait, united with my fears, I'll alleviate. So he's feeling weighed down by his fear, and all he can do is release and get away from that. The loop goes on and on until my mind is gone in circles. The barricades are strong. It's been that all along. Have to accept it. The tower can't be torn before the cape is worn. The tower can't be torn, can't be torn down before the cape is worn. To be the hero, you gotta take down. Losing control is the only way of living. All I could do in the end was wait, laying down with my faith. Sometimes time is the best medicine. Sometimes you can't fight it. You have to just wait until it's gone. And then you can move on from there. Let's hit this next track. I want some heaviness now. I want something better. Slap me in the face at the bottom. No, don't slap my bottom. Don't slap. All right, let's just go. That's a cool element that they brought into the music, though. That is a really great element.
Flickering fire, a thirsty flame, burning a whisper.
So that time signature's change again.
Repeating my name, a dying reminder, igniting my worst, leading me down.
15, 16, 7, 8, 14, 16.
Burst like a cavalcade of time.
15, 16.
Wake is burning out, leaving tension to refine hope. I have been here before, and I have grown with the thoughts I can free when I'm alone. When I'm at the bottom, right at the bottom,
See?
where I crash,
Build it up. I heard the hi-hat. Do it. If you're gonna give me the soft serve, you gotta put some sprinkles in it.
Seeking conclusion, unstable spark, ready to leave this welcoming dark, taming the chaos, inverted pain. Forging a key to
Guitarist waiting at the
unlock my
corner.
chain, freeing myself from the destructive rain. When I'm at the bottom, right at the bottom, where I crash.
Great drumming in that little vocal hit, too.
Let's ride
this break. It's a gentle electronic pulse. This is like a palate cleanser of an outro. This is that space for the band to really like put down an instrumental kind of jam. Run up. See, I said if you're gonna give me the soft surf, you gotta throw in a sprinkle or two. With the previous two tracks, we very much were in the softer lane, which is fine for a time, but I left my comments right. This track, we started the same, and I was worried. I said, "Oh, I need something. Please, just Leprous, give me a little something." And they gave me something. They gave me more than something. Here, that soft effect is used very much to build up into something. And of course, you could argue that in the span of an album, listen, you're going to have throughout the songs the journeys of ups and downs. We were very much on a down, and I don't necessarily mean quality-wise, but I mean soft-wise. And I want something to pop off. And here at the bottom, we finally found something that popped off. And I love how it feels like a climax, not only in this track, but in relation to those previous two tracks. I feel like this feels deserved and earned in a sense. A band that's rewarding the listener. Einar singing here, he brings, of course, the sensitivity with those gentle moments, but also the power as we get back into the bigger choruses and the final moments of this particular track, which feels like almost a conclusion. In some ways, it almost feels like you would turn the album over at this point, even though we're beyond halfway through here. And it feels like a satisfying conclusion at whatever pit stop where we currently are. His use of vibrato, interesting vocal melodies is always kind of fascinating to listen to, just even from a singer's point of view. Not that I'm a singer, but I'm imagining from a singer's point of view. It's really interesting to listen to how he performs. I like the way that the guitar kind of heralded the later guitar expansion as it would come in much more full later on. The drumming is fantastic. I love the use of the electronics here. The way that it nicely rocks back and forth between gentle and powerful and dramatic. I think it works insanely well. And like I said, I think that this track is probably the second most powerful song on here, just by way of structure and the way that it's climaxed and everything. But I needed that. I needed that. And you could even argue that this could, relate to the first track below. Because here at the bottom, as he says, I have started to find my inner strength again. I mean, when we were reading this, we didn't see anything about this being a concept album or anything like that, but you could argue Flickering fire, a thirsty flame, burning whispers repeating my name. Dying reminder, igniting my words, leading me down to an explosive burst. Like a candle out of time when the wick is burning out, reliving tension to a final hope. I've been here before and I have grown with the thoughts I can free when I'm alone. Once again, this is strongly relating to that first track. When I'm at the bottom, right at the bottom, where I grasp for a handle. Looking for anything, just grabbing for a way out at the bottom where I shine as bright as I can. So that's where he finds his inner peace at the bottom within himself as we're going. It's very introspective and internalized. Then this is, hey, I want to let it out. This is, trying to really let out what he's saying. And he outcries here. Powerful, powerful yell as he's trying to take those things that are internalized within him and externalize it, trying to find the strength to, as he says, let it out. Seeking conclusion, unstable spark, ready to leave this welcoming dark. See, it's ready to leave. We're ready to get out of here. The day made the chaos inadvertent pain, forging the key to unlock my chain, freeing myself from the destructive rain. And it repeats the chorus, I want to let it out. And as we said, I'm back to where I once became. Stranded in the uncharted, will I ever be the same? At the bottom, I have started to find my inner strength again. So now we are not in the phase of I lose hope. We have found that hope. And what do you know? It was right there at the bottom of your guts the entire time. Let's go ahead and listen to the next track here, which is Distant Bells, which is also one of the worst episodes of Game of Thrones. The bells. Oh, you killed my girl, Dany.
Notions of pitfalls shall build on distrust, getting rid of infancy. To be the remedy. Where have I gone? What still remains? I've been around for all these years. I hear the sound of distant bells, and I've been around for all these years. I'm on the ground yet again. I've been around. What still remains?
Like the way that kind of just swiftly comes in. Those chords with the piano. Almost reminds me of Jonesy from Sigur Rós. And sometimes.
The craft, living in art.
almost brings in a trip hop kind of sound with the way the drums and the mood has come in here. Right? Pulse, sequencer, that's what it did.
No longer a safe zone.
Shades of dissonance. You're going to laugh at me. You're going to throw your plate at the screen. You're going to throw your plate at the screen. Okay, Distant Bells gives us everything. The gentle balladry beginning, the very powerful rocking out ending, some cool electronics in between, a really nice break, fantastic performances, everything, right? It gives us everything in this track. You're going to laugh at me because I'm gonna contradict something I said earlier. Let me pull up the track here really quick. The ending was big. It was climactic. Wonderful, right? Sounded great. Duh. Can I tell you something? When it got to this part and the way that it was building up, right? Even when it went back to the verse. All right, I'm going to contradict a little bit, but I think you may understand what I mean. I actually wish the song kind of stayed in this particular space as it was growing. That pulse of the bass underneath rumbling, the quick and sophisticated drumming, the way that Einar is singing sensitively. I think that was such a cool moment and a great build-up from where they were before. From here at the piano, little shades of dissonant notes being thrown in. It worked really well from taking this kind of empty acoustic balladry and brewing it, moving it gently and nudging it into that. It was just a really cool progression, and it almost had a trip-hop-ish kind of sound when those drums came in. Like, it was actually really cool. I wish that they stayed in that particular lane, because when they brought in everything and went to this loud part, while of course it's so satisfying to listen to and, you know, it's climactic and it feels good, it's big, I think that they could have done the same without actually going into that rock kind of sound, because of the way that they were nudging things along. I'll admit that when it got to this, I thought I was a little taken aback. I was like, oh, it didn't seem like they were going to build up into that again. It seemed like they were just kind of staying this sleek kind of direction and just building up from there. But like I said, this is such a big moment. It's grand. It sounds good. It feels good. It's still going to give you goosebumps. It's just where my mind was going immediately. But either way, it was very cool. But I did really like that kind of more sophisticated, as I'll say, section there. Just tickled my particular fancy. Daft Notions of Pitfalls. Ladies and gentlemen, we got them. A shaft built of distrust, getting rid of the infancy, what used to be the remedy? Where have I gone? What still remains? Pitfalls. I've been around for all these years. I hear the sound of distant bells, and I've been around for all these years. I'm on the ground yet again. I've been around. What still remains? Where have I gone? Trying to find yourself, those distant bells, trying to find yourself or trying to find something. The craft of living, the art of forgiving. Where have I gone? What remains? Where have I gone? What still remains? The start of the new world, the fresh leaves uncurl. The shed has been torn down. My bed is no longer a safe zone. Like, of course, a bed is usually like, that is your safety. It's usually in the place you live. You know, that's your harbor. That's your shelter. That's your safest place where, of course, you need to feel safe in order to go to sleep, you know. But he's saying that's no longer the safe zone. I've been around all these years. I hear the sound of distant bells. I fell to the ground yet again. So he's perhaps moving on in his journey, and the things that used to, you know, kind of keep him safe and make him feel safe are no longer doing so. Perhaps he's beyond that. He's grown beyond that in some capacity. Let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be, let me pull it up, Foreigner. Here we go. Back to it. Repeated lines make me think thematic album. It's a tricky little riff, huh?
It's a fight to stay alive, for my light has gone missing. Fight to stay alive. It's a fight against myself. Fight to stay alive. It's a fight against my imaginary. Fight to stay alive. It's a fight against myself.
This is that quick, snappy rocker. This is the one that just gets your blood pumping.
Became a foreigner in my own head. My sword is double-edged. Might have to put away my sledge. Might have to
Like when the bass comes in there.
my
Those rolls are really good.
fight to stay
Wickle, but I have. Big ending note. I want to see if this song was released as a single, because I know we saw that there were like 3 songs released as singles. Let me see. Singles: Below, Alleviate, and Distant Bells. Okay, so this wasn't a single. This one sounds like such a single to me because it's a quick in and out, 3 minute, however many seconds long rock and roll track. It's heavy, it's catchy, it shows off the band in a great way. The drums are fantastic. I love the snare rolls, just as this really quick, little powerful kind of bite before biting into the chorus there. The last note from Einar is throaty. It's not a growl, but it's throaty. It's still a higher note, which is sounding really cool. Definitely feels very satisfying to listen to that. You still get some of those electronic pulses kind of strewn throughout this. This felt like the most single-ish track of the album. Maybe it's because of the length, maybe because of the chorus and everything, but it just felt like this was the track that would be a great single. Like, Below is still my favorite track so far listening to the album, but I mean, I guess that would be a good single because it has everything as well. But this feels like their final, let's just rock it all out. It's an energizing kind of performance. It has everything. They throw it all before moving on to the next track, which is 11 minutes long. Like, that's their epic on the album. This is like a final get the lead out kind of track. What do you always hear on the radio? Turn up the dial and rip the knob off, or whatever they say. I don't know. Also, another reference, perhaps. My congregation is in flames. I can't seem to find my aim. Don't we let go of logic's sense, still trapped within my own fence. Feel just like a knucklehead, just can't realize what's left. I've had enough of this facade, time to surpass once and for all. It's a fight to stay alive. It's a fight to stay alive. For my light has gone missing. Fight to stay alive. It's a fight against myself. So once again, internalized. Fight to stay alive. Fight against my imaginary hell. Fight to stay alive. Became a foreigner in my own head. That's a good line. My sword is double-edged. Of course, it strikes forward, but it also can strike backward. Might have to put away my sledge. And it repeats from there again. So within this inner journey that he's been, taking throughout this whole album, which arguably could make this a thematic album of sorts, he has to fight to stay alive as he's found himself at the bottom where he finds hope, but still he has to fight to get out of it, to stay alive. Like he says, feel like a knucklehead. Out of all the graceful words and, the poet prose and everything, I'm such a knucklehead. Let's move on into the final track on the album. The Sky is Red, clocking in at 11 minutes. Here we go. The chorus came in those bass pulls. All your ghost notes served up. Synth pulse with it.
uncontrollable impulses coming my way. Stripped of all logic sense, my head feels so dense, falling down.
So time signatures change.
Shaft. Submission, giving way at last.
So sleek.
Feeling short and deep-brained. The race is all that is left. Is there any chance?
So many ghost notes here.
What I used to be. Is there any chance of
I liked where it was going. How he does those vocal hits, and the music catches up with them.
Trapped inside.
Wraps you around his finger.
Flames with no chance of escape. My own little parallel universe confines me to my worst impulses.
There's a funkiness to that. I'm trying to catch those vocal hits. This one's just filled with climaxes. Gangnam Style. Sorry. We're gonna get a big build-up. Almost sounds like flute hitting it with it. We're gonna get a long build-up. They're giving you the pattern. I like how everything fills in. That rhythm becomes more and more apparent as he even hits the drums just a little bit harder, going with it. And he's adding the hi-hat and he's stepping on that. But he's been doing that. That came out of nowhere. So the bass popping on it. With the big slide. It sounds like it's falling apart but trying to bring itself back together. So he sucked it out before throwing it back out. That big drum that heralds the next big change. Here, the choir. I'm catching it. Looking at you. Alright, let's go. I got it. Another throm. Oh, that's it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Leprous, full album listen and reaction, Pitfalls. We dived on in and we came out victorious on the other side. The Sky is Red, as kind of, predicted, being the longest track on the album with what Leprous does. This is going to be their most epic, progressive, including everything, kitchen sink, throw your mama in it kind of track. It has everything involved in here. And I really enjoy what they do with so much space. When they get into this groove in The Sky is Red, or even with like a track like Below, I like when they allow the whole band to really incorporate themselves and expand and kind of build something, something beautifully symphonic to an extent, wonderfully progressive. And there's just a lot of interest that's being built. The Sky is Red. There's a lot of interest being built here with everything. Bard's drumming from the graceful beginnings in there, just playing with the atmosphere until the finale where, we're memorizing those hits. And I love how those hits in the finale, where I keep on saying it, but foreshadowed previously in the way that Einar was singing in the verse. He was hinting that rhythm to us the whole time. The music stopped halfway through, and we just got that rhythm that started there, and it built up into, of course, the finale. But I love how they predicted that, and they foreshadowed it in the very beginning. And it was almost like a cool little musical hint, like, oh, a little breadcrumb. I see where you're going with that. Really, really cool. The electronic elements in here come across really nice. I love the choir being used at the end. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Like, that was just very cool. And I like how that climax actually felt a little bit understated to me. There wasn't like a big guitar solo in here. Actually, thinking about it, there weren't really any guitar solos in this album. Now that I'm like thinking about it. I don't know. Unless I'm misremembering, but like, there wasn't anything crazy going on in that finale. I mean, there was craziness, but there wasn't like a big guitar solo or like a final outcry from Einar, a high note. Nothing like that. It was just a big, grand, element that or a big, grand kind of ending that brought in elements. Every time it paused, it gave us a little thick, bassy throng. Then it popped right back in with something new on top of that, which was really cool. Once again, kind of plays to their layering strengths and what they do a lot of times in the music. But the ending was really, really cool to listen to. And like I said, it was kind of a different climax. It still was big and grand and majestic, but it didn't have like some sort of send-off, like a vocal sting or like a solo to really go to that direction, which I thought was kind of cool, and it kind of kept it unpredictable. The beginning is very beautiful. Let me get back here to about a minute or so in. Here. The pattern from the drums that were being set up before kind of yields itself to this big, heavy, dramatic kind of pressure cooker happening as it's going to explode. The way that he keeps on saying red there, is what you just heard as he builds into that part. Kind of acts as our first taste of these climaxes before getting to it. But this is a song, like I said, filled with satisfaction. I think, like, for myself, if they found like the middle of the album a little too soft, a little bit isolated, it's tracks like this or the opening that kind of bookend the album that kind of bring in those big energy from the full band. And that's also something I was thinking about listening to this. I think part of it was also that I love Einar's vocals, but like, it seems so focused on him more so than the rest of the band also involved. And I think that's what I was missing from some of this, like in the midst of the album. Not necessarily the heavier parts, even though of course that's wonderful. It wasn't necessarily that I was missing. It was just more from the rest of the band, or at least more that wasn't so quiet and so, subtle at certain times. But either way, it's a fun listen. Let's look at these lyrics here on this one. Got to scroll my way back up. The sky is red, red again, uncontrollable impulses coming my way. Stripped of all logic sense, my head feels so dense. Falling down endless shafts, submission giving way at last. Feeling suddenly brave, grace is all that is left. I like the falling down endless shaft, of course, once again. Getting to the bottom of things. Lots of references to bottom in here. Is there any chance of recreation of what I used to feel? Is there any chance of recreation of what I used to feel? Any chance of getting back up? Wire around my sanity, fire is the only force inside me. Wire applying pressure on me, fire only feeling left inside me. Wire around my sanity, fire is the only force inside me. Wire applying pressure on me. And it repeats from there. So wiring to keep him together, and fire, that pressure building inside, of course, until that ending release. Trapped inside the flame with no chance of escape, my own little parallel universe confines me to my worst impulses. And it repeats those lyrics again, the fire, fire. So this is, a lot of this album has really dealt with the internal feelings and inner peace, inner turmoil, and everything in between. And here, we're definitely getting what I would argue is kind of a little bit of not a hopeless, but a dire situation. with the fire being the only thing left inside me. And nothing here sounds hopeful. But it does sound like he's trying. It does sound like he's trying to maintain hope there. It just doesn't sound like it doesn't seem like it's working perhaps as well as he would have preferred. Anyways, favorite track on this album is very, very easily below the first track on the album. I think that captures everything perfectly. To be honest, I think that's a 5 out of 5 song, and I would absolutely add that one to my playlist. To me, there's not even a question. That's so easily the best song on the album, in my opinion. Sky of Red probably would come up second. I think that I still prefer the Congregation to this album, but I do like a lot of the moments here. And I like some of the softer moments here, especially when they moved into something or built into something. That wasn't so, I hate to say it, but predictable to an extent, But otherwise, there's some good material on here and a lot of great performance, especially from Einar and Bard and everyone else involved, but they just stood out the most. So let me know what you guys thought of the album. I hope that you enjoyed listening to it alongside with me. Dustin, thank you so much once again for the supports. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you all for the suggestion as well. Hopefully you have a wonderful day out there. Come back tomorrow. Hope you'll be joining me then. And I will see you all later. Bye, guys.